yourself.
Hey everybody, it's another episode of Go Flix Yourself. My name is Ben Conowitz, and with me as always is the Pac-Man to my Ms. Pac-Man, Bradford Oman.
Hey, that's my. That's the best I can do with the digital munching sound.
And let's say that makes Mr. Nate Laux the Galaga to my Ms. Pac-Man.
I don't know what Galaga says.
It's not. This is
That
not,
was really good. Do you practice this, Brad?
I love Galaga, to be honest.
not a request to do the voices like as the game.
They're not called voices. They're called sounds.
Whatever. Oh my
Jesus.
God. Save me from my life. Time Crisis 4. Charlie Young.
I'm going to divert to Brad for time crisis noises.
Bang, 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 bang.
Reload.
Step on the pedal to hide. I'm opening an arcade, and that's why it's on my brain right now to talk about that stuff.
Arcade games are fun.
They are fun. We're opening,
love 'em.
pretty soon. So if you're anywhere near LaPorte, Indiana, come on through.
Yeah, like, if you're being punished, come on by and play at Ben's Arcade. Full tilt.
Well, wait a minute. You
Go tilt
wouldn't be
yourself.
Punished by coming to the arcade.
No, to LaPorte.
Okay, that's fair.
Whoa, whoa.
Yeah.
Could be worse. Could be
Could be
Chesterton.
could be Chesterton.
We said we weren't going to do this.
Okay, little inside baseball there. Anyway, Charlie, thanks for being here as the guest, buddy.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, a pleasure to have you finally on the new format.
On the new
Yeah.
format.
The new format.
In the
Along-
podcasting room.
A longtime friend of the pod.
Yeah, and I think it got
An
dropped in
OG.
the episode a
the
couple
first
times last week.
The first third co-host, I may say.
Well,
Well,
we don't go that far.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. Charlie did host a couple of shows.
He's when we've done
the
special
OG third
episodes.
host.
Yeah.
Okay, yes. All right.
He was like a guest host.
Because
He
I'm
was.
horrible at games, so I'd rather write them and let them battle it out.
Oh, no,
It was like when
we do
Joan
that.
Rivers
And
filled
plus,
in for.
sometimes we had a moderator
As
for like
we know,
big arguments.
I'm awful at games. So
This is really good podcasting, having two separate conversations
I was trying to
going.
be quiet. Yeah, it's working out really well. Brad, is that the sponsor?
No, that was Pac-Man.
Waka, 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 waka.
Hey,
Yeah,
that's
there
better.
you
There
go.
it is.
See?
That's it. Good. Yeah.
Wap, wap.
I'm a ghost.
Okay,
I'm a ghost.
That's not how that
No?
works. No.
Oh.
Why is your ghost from South Florida?
Sure.
I'm a ghost.
Is that how people from South Florida sound?
Yeah, I feel like that's like a retirement community ghost.
Oh, I was actually doing Jack Black's voice from Saving Silverman, when he's like, "What do you think a mime sounds like when he's having sex?" Probably like, "I'm a mime, I'm a mime." And Steve Zahn's like, "No, mimes don't talk." He's like, "They do when they're off duty."
Brad, did you bring a sponsor?
I did. And how much do you guys like peaches?
I like gummy peaches.
I'm not talking about butts either. I'm talking about like a genuine peach.
Like the ones you have to drive to the country for.
Right.
Like ones that you could eat for hours?
I could eat peach for hours.
There we go. Yeah, all right.
Uh,
Disgusting.
You like peach gummies?
we do.
You might enjoy this. I would say I'm gonna go on a limb and predict and say it's not gonna be quite as good, but they're pretty delicious. You guys can go and grab. This is a new flavor of Twizzlers, peach Twizzlers. Ben, go ahead and toss those out to our good buddies. Whatever, hand them around. I don't care. Just grab them out of the bag.
So, is Twizzlers made by the Twizzler company, or is it made by like?
That's a good question, actually. I believe Twizzler is owned by a larger company, but I'm gonna look up real quick and find out who that is. Oh, don't eat into the mic. Disgusting. Yuck.
Coming from the person that like drinks in the mic.
But slurping is way better, though.
It's not at all.
Is it?
So the Hershey company owns Twizzler.
That's pretty good.
They're pretty good, huh? I will say, I think the smell of peach is stronger than the actual flavor, which
Yeah.
it's a kind of a constant thing with Twizzlers. Twizzlers always has a stronger scent than the actual flavor, but they're pretty good. I like them.
It does. It tastes just like a regular Twizzler.
Yeah.
but there's
Yeah.
a little.
But
bit
there's a
of
little,
like
little bit of peach.
You know what's better than peach Twizzlers? Peach rings. Just buy peach rings.
Well, I didn't buy this because I thought they would taste like peach rings. I bought it because it was a new flavor of Twizzlers, and I like Twizzlers from time to time.
But it's basically like what I'm saying to America is if
What
you
I'm saying
want
to America.
instead of this product, buy peach rings because it's the better version.
Sure. Sometimes though, I'm not in the mood for the granular sugar that's outside of peach rings.
What gives
Rinse
you the
them off.
right? What gives you the right to speak to America? Right.
Let me go backwards a little bit and say what gives you the right?
To do anything?
Period.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Listen, I'm not in an argumentative mood today. I'm very docile, very tired. So
I'm spent.
I'm just gonna let you know, you win, buddy.
Now,
Great insight. I'm gonna say Twizzlers if I have to, but I don't buy either one.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of licorice myself, but I would probably say red vines.
You never get it at the theater.
Never. No, because I only when I go to the theater I only get popcorn.
When's the last time you ate licorice? Before now?
I couldn't tell you.
When my father bought it in 1997 when I was in the truck with him and was like, "Do you want a Twizzler?" I'm like, "Sure."
Your father never bought you anything to bring you joy.
He bought it for him. He enjoys Twizzlers.
You know, I had one of those. What is is it like a Twizzler pull and peel?
So the pull and peels are the superior version
had one
of
of
any
those-
of any licorice.
I had one of those this summer, if I remember
Charlie?
correctly.
The pull and peel is the best, but I prefer red vines over normal Twizzlers.
Red Vines is a candle, and I hate it. But what's the best flavor of pull and peel Twizzlers? That's the big
Oh,
question.
I don't know. I'm out of my element here.
Oh.
I've only had like one pull and peel in my life.
The only one?
Well, that I remember.
Well,
Not even a
maybe more.
package, just one.
Just one. Just one.
like,
one.
yeah.
The peel.
Like
One
somebody,
tiny noodle.
somebody
One pull.
pulled
Peeled
off
one
one of
noodle
the
off.
strings.
Also, isn't the pull and peel like the poor man's fruit by the foot? Isn't fruit by the foot
Oh, I
better?
do love a good
No,
fruit by
no,
the
because
foot.
fruit by the foot is like a flattened like
And not
ribbon,
licorice.
and not licorice. Yeah, it's like it's a fruit snack.
Well,
kind
I
of
mean,
thing.
technically, I don't think the Twizzlers pull and peel are not licorice.
I'm pretty sure it's still licorice. It's just a softer mixture.
This is a great movie podcast.
It's a softer mixture with a sales ploy to kids.
Yeah, and it's watermelon is the right answer. for
Okay,
this.
Strawberry.
Good to know.
So
Hey guys, I have a new segment.
Ooh,
Yeah, I'm ready for it. You ready for it?
yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, I made up a song too. I spent a lot of time thinking about this song, but
pretty soon every segment we do is going to have a song.
Well, I mean, they're supposed to be improvised, but if you
well,
want to make
no,
it
no,
up
no,
beforehand, that's fine.
Stop,
That's
stop,
fine.
stop. This is not
The
a
game song is improvised.
Thank you.
Songs
Thank you.
can be written for other segments.
Okay, all
The,
right.
the segment's called "Do You Want to See It?" Right? So we talk about this is a movie podcast. This is not.
Do you want to see
Oh,
it?
that's good.
No, he said he already wrote one.
Do you want to see it?
But I
Don't
might
go
be
on.
changing here.
Oh,
That
boy.
was almost like a Peacemaker kind of song that
That's
you're
true.
doing.
Yeah, it's sexy.
Do you want to see it?
See it.
Yeah, that's kind of where I went with.
We got to
is,
pay for that.
Do
now,
you
guys.
want to? Do you want to? Do you want to see it?
Is that really where you're going with?
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna go with.
Okay.
See it.
That's not-
Do you want to? Do you want to? Do you want to see it?
that almost sounds like an ad slogan too.
Yeah, that's what I was going for.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm in.
All right. So this is.
Yes,
I'm
and by
gonna
the
ask
way,
you.
whatever you're gonna. Yes, I want to see it based on that song. Yes, I
Yeah,
wanna
yeah.
see it.
So I'm going to ask you guys movies. Some of them that we've reviewed here in their trailers, and we've talked about here. Some of them we haven't. These are movies that are coming out this weekend for our listeners to know. Again, these are right ahead of you guys. These aren't movies. Sometimes we review trailers that are coming out months, if not a year in advance. This is stuff that you can watch, days after we release this podcast. So I'm going to ask these guys here, these jokers with me, do they want to see this film? And they get to tell me yes, no, why, whatever you want. All right, first one. We're going to include only films, but that could include documentaries. All
Okay.
right. We'll start with Ben here, and then we'll go around. 38 at the Garden. This is on HBO Max on October 11th. 38 at the Garden chronicles the extraordinary ascendance of point guard Jeremy Lin during his landmark 2012 season with the New York Knicks. What do you think, buddy?
I am hearing about this now for the first time from your lips.
Yep.
And I would be interested in watching it. 'Cause I
You're a
love-
basketball guy,
I do
right?
like basketball a lot. I would catch that if I was randomly scrolling on a Sunday afternoon. I would toss that on. Yes.
Yeah, same. Go ahead. What do you think, Brad?
Yeah, I like sports documentaries, even though I'm not a big sports guy, and so I don't necessarily have an affinity for Jeremy Lin as a player, but I would be willing to watch it because I'm generally interested in learning about sports figures and stuff through that way.
Yeah, I agree. Go ahead.
I probably won't. I can sit here and say that I will, but I don't watch a lot of new stuff
okay.
as it comes. For me, to say The Last Dance was the best sports documentary ever, and
It was great.
And that's from the generation that I followed basketball. I'm not going to know any of the people he went up against, and was the league dominated against him or for him. That's not for me.
I'm fascinated with Jeremy Lin because, again, in 2012, he came out of nowhere. I'll probably watch this. Next one, Spirit Halloween, the movie. We did review this on a previous episode.
We watched
of
the trailer.
Go Flicks
Yeah.
Yourself. We did talk about this anyway. Yeah. It comes out on video on demand on October 11th. When a brand new Spirit Halloween store appears in a deserted strip mall, 3 middle school friends who think they've outgrown trick-or-treating make a dare to spend the night locked into the store on Halloween night. Let's start with you, Brad. You're going to see this.
Maybe I'll punish myself one day, but I'm not gonna go out of my way to watch it as soon as it's out this weekend.
All right.
No.
No.
Good.
Christopher Lloyd's in it, Charlie.
So
And
You love
uh,
Christopher Lloyd.
I do love Christopher Lloyd, but
Yeah.
I do not.
I'm
I'm not even a horror movie fan, let alone a really bad horror movie
Well, I'll
fan.
have to tell Christopher Lloyd next time I see him.
I will likely have to see this because of my kids.
Because of your kids,
Yep. All right, next one. We'll start with you, Chuck. Halloween Ends. It comes out on Peacock on October 14th. 4 years after the events of last year's Halloween Kills, Laurie is living with the granddaughter Allison and is finishing writing her memoir. Are you going to
Also,
see
let's
this
be
new
clear,
No.
it's also in theaters, which is the chief important part.
one? Is it?
Yes.
It comes out on Peacock on the
We
same
prefer
day.
movies in theaters. Thank you.
But it's on Peacock. You
We
can watch
prefer
it on
movies
your
in
phone.
theaters.
You can watch it on your phone.
if you
As
stop
as
watching-
they intended.
Uh-huh.
I think he's saying it's on Peacock to reach the masses because most people will watch it on Peacock.
Who goes to theaters these
You
days?
put it. And then you go on the plane, and you tuck it on the tray in front of you, and it kind of just dangles there, and you can actually watch it.
Have you actually done
So-
this? That's genius.
I flew United on last Friday, and they have cell phone and tablet holders built into the back of their seats
See?
now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Southwest does
we
not.
are living in the
Southwest,
future, guys.
Yeah.
Southwest.
Well, if we
gives
were
you-
living in
gives
the
you a bag.
future,
Yeah. Here's your phone
Here's
bag.
your phone bag. It's a Ziploc bag.
All right.
here's your phone.
Here's your and it's not a Ziploc. It's an off.
It's also the same. It's the same bag that your snacks came in. So you have to eat the snacks
Like,
first, and then there's like
Dump
residue
out,
on it.
Yeah.
You got
All right,
salt
Chucky,
on my
what
phone
do you
again.
think? Are you going to see Halloween Ends?
No, I'm not a horror movie fan.
Not at all.
Not at all. The only horror movie that I ever actually got into was growing up, and because of Brad, was Halloween H2O and The Faculty. Those are the only two horror movies I ever got into.
It's
You
interesting
can't
that
be
it's
friends with-
H2O and not the original Halloween.
Because you
You
never
can't be
showed
friends
me.
with
You,
Brad
Brad,
and not watch Halloween.
You
Ends.
did this to him.
That's true.
What about you, Benny?
Yeah, I'll have to
course
watch
you're
this because I watched the first two, and I do want to see how it ends, even though I freaking hated the second one with a passion.
Yeah, I'm definitely seeing this. I'm actually seeing it in a couple days. Actually,
Halloween
They're-
Kills was one of the most disappointing movies I've ever seen. It was set up to be
Ever?
such a it was just bad. It was bad front to back. We've talked about it at length. I don't
Did
want to
Rob
cover it,
Zombie direct it?
but no,
No.
it wasn't that bad. But
No.
All right, just a couple more.
Back to horror movie, actually,
Yeah.
in Rob Zombie.
Go ahead.
I'm a defender of House of a Thousand Corpses.
Well, I think that would be the only one that people would defend.
Yeah.
Yes, but like
some people love the Devil's Rejects. They just love it.
Yeah, some people love Rob Zombie because
The Munsters.
no reason.
All right, The Curse of Bridge Hollow, Netflix on October 14th.
Next,
Yeah, again, no, not seeing that.
don't even know what the fuck that is.
Hey, it stars Marlon Wayans, Bria Ferguson, Lauren Lapkus.
Oh,
and Lee
never mind.
Vardalos.
Yeah, he's at the peak of his career right now.
I'm in.
Netflix was able to make this movie for $70,000. Actually,
What?
I'll bet they were.
Rosaline or Rosaline?
Rosalind.
Rosalind? Is it Rosalind?
It's Rosalind.
Okay, coming out on Hulu on October 14th, a comedic retelling of Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, told from the point of view of Romeo's jilted ex, Rosalind, the woman Romeo first claims to love before the falls for Juliet. Do you think you would see something like this? It's kind of a funny rom-com.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a little bit like a contemporary
Yeah.
style approach to Shakespeare stuff.
I'm good.
I'm going to see this. This looks good. I thought the trailer.
Yeah,
was
I'm interested in it. I actually think I have a screener for this, and I just haven't watched it yet. It just came out
Don't
because
let it
they
expire.
premiered last weekend.
good. What about you, buddy?
That kind of premise actually does interest me. I will probably seek it out.
It looks
Netflix?
funny. It looks funny. Hulu.
Hulu.
October 14th. Finally, last one. Till comes out on cinema on October 14th. Comes to the theater. Till is a profoundly emotional and cinematic film about the true story of Mamie Till Mobley, her relentless pursuit of justice for her 14-year-old son, Emmett Till, who in 1955 was lynched while visiting his cousins in Mississippi. Brad, what do you think? You gonna see this one?
Yeah, I'm curious to see it just because it's a historical drama and it's definitely something that's still timely and relevant. I'm not sure if it's getting like a full-fledged wide release this weekend or if it's limited first, but
I think it is, but I don't know. I just saw. I actually just saw the commercial watching football too.
Yeah.
So
Is this
it's
is this
getting
aimed
close.
at award season, or is this?
yeah, I think it might be.
prestige picture?
I think it might be a little too early for it to really like capitalize on it. I'll bet they're probably hoping, but I feel like probably will get overshadowed on all this unless they make a big campaign push towards the end of the year or early next year.
Yeah. What about you, buddy?
No.
No.
Yeah, if it's an award season contender, then I will, because that's I for some reason I still if it's nominated for an Academy Award in any of the categories, I do still try to go out on my way to see it.
So those are your films coming out this weekend, everyone, either in the cinema or on streaming. If you go and watch a new film, there's a couple good ones out and a couple not so good ones. But
Ask
it's
your
your
Southwest
choice.
flight attendant for the plastic bag.
Yeah, and ask yourself, do you want to see it?
Do you want to see it?
See it.
Good.
I'm glad we were all on the same page there. It's fantastic. Guys, we watched some trailers, but let's talk about the last movie we saw.
My favorite part of the podcast is when you mention something later and then you realize that you did it in the
You
wrong
moved
order.
past it,
and then
yeah.
you're like, oh, but first let's talk about the right part of the podcast.
It's a teaser. It's to tell you what's coming up next.
He's giving a teaser for the trailers.
It's foreshadowing,
Good.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He learned that word.
After
this
the
week.
break, but first,
Our sponsor segment.
Oh, boy. What's the last movie you saw, Nate?
The last movie I saw, or that I was assigned to see, was a gift actually from Ben, because I really enjoyed this film, called 1408. It is, I don't know why Ben seems to want to only give me John Cusack movies right now, but he is. And
Oh, yeah.
but this was so much better than the last one he gave me.
John Cusack movies with only numbers in the title.
Oh, that's true. And 4 numbers at that.
Yeah, 2012 and now 1408, which this movie does not take place in 1408.
No. So this is a film.
Well, actually, that's not true. It does take place in
Oh,
1408.
come on.
Just
It's
not the time known as
All right.
1408.
All right, that's fair.
So this is a film that was released, I think, around 2007, and it stars again. Primarily, it really is almost John Cusack in the whole thing, doing most of the work, heavy lifting. Here.
Also, Sammy J.
He's in it some, yeah, but I think it's certainly a John Cusack film, and I actually really enjoyed it. I enjoyed
Did you
Cusack what
really?
he did. I did. This is based on a short story written by Stephen. So this is, again, we're watching horror films in October. Again,
Ooh.
it is autumn, and
It's Halloween. You, by the way, Brad, you were the one last time that brought that up as like it's
I do
Halloween.
it ironically.
You didn't though. You were actually happy.
No, I'm not ever happy about saying following.
You said Halloween with like a pep in your step.
well, to be fair, it was the snack segment, so
That's fair.
We had a drink last time.
also,
Whatever.
I wonder if this
Whatever.
film is what taking ayahuasca is like, because
This is the
he's
drug
essentially
I
going.
can't imagine ayahuasca's that disappointing.
Whoa!
You really didn't like this film?
I don't like this. I don't like this movie.
Is there why is that?
It just feels like it's like
Is it the film itself, like the way it's made, the acting, or is it the story you don't like, or all of it?
It's mostly the story and just how it unfolds. Like it just feels like such a prototypical psychological thriller. Like there's nothing really like exciting about it. I was never really enthralled in the story or anything like that.
See, I liked it. Because again, it was like one thing after another. I did see a little bit of like, at the end, again, spoiler alert. You think he's out of this kind of almost hallucination. He's in this hotel. The whole premise is 1408 is a hotel room, that he's a paranormal skeptic. He goes in there, and a bunch of people have committed suicide in there, and he goes into that room, and he's going to prove essentially that that it isn't there, or it isn't paranormal, these kind of things. And for an hour, allegedly, but it's not really an hour, it's kind of hard to explain, he goes through these almost like hallucinations, and you don't know if they're real. You don't know if
This came out at a time when there were like a bunch of movies.
there
like
were.
this.
I was thinking this feels very 2005
Yeah.
to 2008 to me. Like it feels very that. But
When did John Cusack in Identity come out?
That was when I was in high school, so like 2003, I think.
Okay, yeah. So that's another John Cusack movie where it's like, is it real? Is
Yep.
it fake? So, and I really like that movie.
it's not an unknown premise, right? It isn't.
Yeah, 2003.
Again, this is based on a short story, so it was written previously for people that enjoy Stephen King. I thought it was well put together. I enjoyed it. I hadn't read the short story. I hadn't seen the movie, and I wasn't disappointed with it.
All right, Brad, what did
Yuck.
we make you watch, Brad?
Well, funnily enough, I also watched a movie based on a Stephen King story, one that I hadn't seen before, but
Yes.
I was familiar with
I
it
gave
just,
you
just
this
because of like its place in like pop culture and whatnot. And it's Misery, directed by Rob Reiner of all people, which is really interesting. But this is, for those of you that don't know, it's a story about this writer, Paul Sheldon, played by James Caan, who he just finished a new book after finishing the last book in a very famous series of books that is beloved by a lot of people.
Can you keep it spoiler free, honestly, because I've never seen it and I do want to watch that this month.
You've never seen it
I've
either?
never seen it.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I'll keep it spoiler free. Basically, the premise is he gets in this big car accident during a snowstorm in the mountains. He gets rescued and brought in by this woman named Annie Wilkes, played by Kathy Bates. And
Who does great, doesn't she?
Yeah, so she's phenomenal. That's why she got the Oscar for Best
Yep.
Actress for this movie. And it's so she takes him in, and she's like his number one fan. She loves his books and everything. She's a super fan, and she's taking care of him, nursing him back to health. And all I'll say is things take a turn.
All I'll say is
there's a very famous couple things that I already know about, obviously. But
Then you know the big spoilers. Then
I know the.
I'm not kidding
Is it a
you.
sledgehammer?
yes,
I know the sledgehammer.
I'm not
scene.
kidding you. It wasn't until even actually at Waterboy, I still didn't trust Kathy Bates. I'm not kidding you. It was like I saw this film when I was younger, and I'm like, I don't know if I'll ever like her again.
Yeah. I pretty much knew like the big beats for this movie, but it's her performance is fantastic.
And that's kind of why I want to still check
And
it out.
and honestly, like it's one of those movies too where it's fun because like the way things like go wrong as he like tries to get out and that kind of thing. Like it's darkly funny at times for sure. But yeah, fantastic movie. I'm glad I finally saw its an entirety after seeing some of the more famous parts and knowing things about it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Charlie, what's the last movie you saw, buddy?
I'd actually like to go last.
Okay.
So, Ben, what's the last movie you saw?
I watched Confess Fletch with my buddy Brad Oman.
You didn't get to watch the movie I gave you.
I did not.
Yeah.
I watched Confess Fletch too.
We're gonna have to fix that because this is now what like the third time it's happened.
Let's calm it down.
He doesn't do the segment anymore.
Let's
No.
He's
Let-
he's not doing
I'm
the
caught
assignment.
up.
He's not
I
doing
am-
this. You're
I'm-
not.
I am.
You literally just missed the last
No,
movie
but I
I
mean,
assigned
like,
you.
I'm caught up like all the other ones. I've seen everything.
I'm caught up except for this.
The
week.
most latest one.
Yeah.
And honestly,
By the way, what were you assigned?
called Silent House with Elizabeth
yep,
Olsen
yep.
from 2012 horror film,
Yep.
and it's very short. I had a kind of a tough week, so it was a little bit stressful to get some things going. But also, I did realize that I could sit down tonight at about 5:45 and watch this movie. I could have snuck it in, but then I read the premise, and honest to God, Bailey loves horror movies, and she was out of town this weekend, and we will watch this week. I promise you.
And
It's
then he'll miss next week. So
no,
then-
it's a short movie, and Bailey and I will sit down and watch it because we do like watching horror films, especially in October. So we'll make time for this.
Let's do this then. Let's talk Confess Fletch because it's getting better ratings
Yes.
than I thought it was. I didn't think.
and it's also very spooky.
It's not spooky at all.
It is not. But we did review
We
the trailer.
hated the
here.
well, I hated the trailer.
I hated the trailer too. The trailer was bad. It was.
and you guys. I'm gonna guess based on your
It's
tone
so good.
that you guys like
It's
the film.
so good.
No,
I
it really is.
I didn't love the film.
It is. You didn't
You
like
didn't?
it.
I did not love the film.
You didn't love it. You didn't like it.
I didn't love it.
You did, but you liked it.
It was fine.
Okay. I thought it was pretty funny.
I thought it was clever.
It was enjoyable.
I didn't think it was as high as the rating on Rotten Tomatoes should say.
What does
you
it
know?
have?
83.
Yeah, I didn't think it was.
Yeah, I'd give it like a 75 probably.
I would say it's a 50 to 60 for me.
I just think that
It's clever enough.
yeah, this is the kind of like comedic mystery that they don't really make much of anymore. I think that's a big part of why I appreciate it. But John Hamm is great in this role, even though like the stuff they showed out of context in the trailer made it seem like he was poorly cast. He fits very well in this role. I will definitely admit that the trailer really misled me.
I will say
really
this.
appreciate him.
I will agree with you. The trailer the film is better than the trailer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This iteration of Fletch, Chevy Chase, it's an iconic role for him, obviously.
Yeah.
I personally think this is better
This is
than the original Fletch.
Really?
Yeah, I don't.
You don't like the original Fletch, do you?
It's not that I dislike it. I just don't really get why people love it so much
Yeah.
because, like, I'm someone who likes Chevy Chase from the '80s and whatnot, and I get why people like it. I didn't grow up with an affinity for it. I watched it literally within the past 2 years for the first time, and when I saw it, I was just like, oh,
It's
okay.
fine.
I think
Fine.
that-
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's since the original Fletch and Fletch Lives have come out, that character has been done plenty of times. But back then, it not that it was groundbreaking by any means, but it was to see somebody, that smarmy getting away with it was a little bit unique, and he really made it his own.
It's not really that I didn't think that it was unique anymore. I just had trouble with how the tone was balanced with Chevy Chase's brand of comedy, with how they were trying to be pretty serious about the mystery, and I felt like Confess Fletch.
See, but they did that a lot in the 80s, honestly.
Oh, for sure.
Remember what they did with Beverly Hills Cop?
Yeah.
I mean, he is there because why? His best friend is absolutely murdered, and
But
it's
for
a
whatever
terrible-
reason-
and it's like, it's a lighthearted comedy.
But for whatever
featuring
reason,
Eddie
Beverly
Murphy.
Hills Cop works like a charm. Like
Yeah.
I think it works fantastically.
Right.
Fun fact: did you know that Beverly Hills Cop was originally developed as a serious drama, and that Sylvester Stallone was going to star in it?
I did not know that.
And he even tried to get Martin Scorsese to direct it.
I did not know that.
I read on Twitter that Martin Scorsese is overrated.
Boy,
This
that's
is
just
really
just the worst.
Twitter,
the worst kind
Twitter
of.
is the cesspool of something.
This
that
isn't
I'm
even,
just
this isn't even a
addicted
Twitter problem.
to.
This is a problem that comes
is a
about
world problem.
No, this is a problem that comes out with like when some critic like decides they want to try and like make a name for themselves by trying to take down a titan, and it's like, fuck you, buddy. This is gonna backfire right in your face, and it did to the point where Guillermo del Toro, who doesn't get into like little tiffs
yeah.
like this, a very respectable, kind filmmaker, said like, you know what? I don't usually do this, but man, this is bad.
He called it out.
This is
Oh,
a-
he
this is a
tweeted. He
garbage
did like
take.
a little like a 4 or 5 tweet thread, and like, but very eloquently worded. Not like a man, this fucking sucks, but just like this is a problem, and this is why people, like it basically he had a very smart, well thought response. To
So
it.
For our listeners, real quick, there was an article written by a reviewer, a film reviewer.
Yeah.
I think he's like a professor or something like that. Essentially calling
Professor
out
of my ass.
Martin Scorsese, and I only saw it because Brad tweeted it, and I saw it. I'm like, oh my word, this is just.
I saw it
awful.
because of your tweet as well, and I was like, "That's a bonkers take."
Yeah,
It's just like
I've seen some bad takes.
I've seen some bad takes.
That
That's
is one of the
that's not
worst
even, that's
ones.
even a hot take. It's just like
I-
who would honestly be on your side here?
Martin Scorsese, whether you like him or not, he's gonna. He's just like
You
one of those
just- the
Tom
respect
Brady
back, though, like,
characters
yeah,
that
it's just
you
like-
might not be a fan.
even if
but
you don't like his movies, like the guy, he's first of all, he's like the nicest old man in the world.
That doesn't-
and second of all, he's like doing anything and everything to preserve the history of cinema. And this guy's like, you know what? No, fuck this guy.
It's like running into
you know,
something.
I like watching movies on my phone.
You know what? It really is like somebody coming up to me and be like, you know, it just really rubs me the wrong way. A guy I really hate. That Tom Hanks. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Go just take a long walk
Yeah.
off a short bridge.
You might not like every Tom Hanks film,
Exactly,
you
but
better
the man's
like
a
Tom
national
Hanks.
treasure, and I'll punch you in the face if you say otherwise.
Hey, you can choke on a fucking hammer, Mr. Rogers.
I just don't get it. Right? The sweater, whatever.
Yeah. Oh, let's teach kids kindness. Fuck out of here.
Also, a third example.
Yeah.
So, moving on, Charlie,
Yes.
you're last to go because you requested.
I
So
did.
this
Yeah,
better
well,
You know what would be
something
great? It would be great if, even though we know Charlie's not a horror fan, if he watched the movie that Ben was assigned.
Yeah, wouldn't it be great? Have you seen Silent Hill?
He hasn't
No.
watched.
Silent House. No,
Silent House,
no,
sorry.
no, there's no way.
Don't, not a horror.
Yeah, it's
no.
not going to happen.
No, the last movie I watched actually was sparked from listening to your guys' podcast and his hot Tom Cruise takes. I watched American Beauty today.
I'm trying to figure out where the connection is.
Tom Cruise is in that movie.
No, in that it was Ben brought up the point of separating the art from the artist.
There we go.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So I watched
Had you
Amer-
not seen American Beauty?
No, I have. It's one
Oh,
of my
okay.
favorites, but I have not watched it since he got outed.
Gotcha.
Kevin
And-
Spacey, obviously.
Yes.
just for our
It is
listeners.
uncomfortable.
Well, I probably chose the wrong movie because I mean he's playing himself pretty much, except
it's a young girl instead of a young boy.
exactly. But I wanted to see where everybody landed, and can you still enjoy a Kevin Smith movie? Can you still listen to a Louis C.K. comedy?
Wait, what did Kevin Smith
What Kevin
do?
Smith?
Not Kevin Smith, Kevin Spacey.
I was like, you almost blew the lid off something huge.
Brad almost had a coronary.
Yeah.
Like,
So
Yeah.
can you separate the art from the artist?
More. There was
That's a
a
good
time.
question.
There was a time immediately after it happened that I didn't feel like watching any of Kevin Spacey's movies just because I was so disappointed. Because humble Brad, even though it's not really a humble Brad anymore because he sucks. I met Kevin Spacey.
Oh, I don't like you now.
And so I got to talk to him, and
Hashtag
like it was
he knew.
it was at a party after the premiere of the movie Margin Call.
And you were 15.
Yeah, and so he gave me a little kiss on the cheek.
And by the way, Margin Call is a great movie.
It really is.
I really like that.
No,
film.
it has an incredible ensemble cast.
It really does.
But yeah, so it was tough, honestly, because he was an actor who I really did enjoy, and I loved American Beauty. I love The Negotiator.
Baby Driver.
Yeah, he's
I
just,
love Baby
now,
Driver.
He's just a
So
great.
good.
He was a great actor all around. But now he's
Glenn Ross. I mean, he's
Yes.
he's all
Yeah.
and now he's just a
Usual
piece of
Suspects.
shit, and so I couldn't. But I have since I put on The Negotiator in the background while I was working one time, and so I always think about it. Whenever I see him, I can't help but be reminded of it, But I also can't, not just me because of my job, but as someone who loves movies, I'm not going to stop watching movies that I love. Just
Well, this
because,
is coming from a really big Woody Allen fan, so continue, please.
Oh boy, but that's another one too. Though is
Yeah.
I won't not watch Annie Hall, which I was a great movie and won Best Picture and everything. And it sucks that we have to reconcile.
I
those
watched
things.
Annie Hall in 2016 when I was trying to watch 365 movies in a year.
Yeah.
Right, because I was trying to hit as many classes as I could. Right.
Yeah.
And then I did that because even knowing about him and thinking, well, this is still important in the zeitgeist of film.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to go on and keep watching Manhattan and Love Story, whatever the other ones are that he's got. He's got a whole plethora of
Yeah,
films out there.
there was a long time where he made like a movie a year.
Right, but I saw the one and I'm like, okay, now like
with Jet Li.
So
directed by Woody Allen.
So tell me this, guys, because you guys know that I live in this like dichotomous kind of reality for these, because I do dislike Tom Cruise for a lot of what he said about mental health, these kind of things, and in mental health care, this is a very dear topic to me. Yet, you guys know I have enjoyed Tom Cruise films. Even recently, I enjoyed Top Gun: Maverick.
Nate was the reason it made $1 billion.
And here's where I struggle with this is, for instance, Woody Allen, right? You brought up Annie Hall. I would not want to watch that for Woody Allen, but I do want to watch it for Diane Keaton.
Yeah.
And it's unfair because they've worked so hard on these films.
And tons of people did.
And they exactly. And they've done so much good work. It's unfair to punish them for Woody Allen.
Yeah, it would almost be...
I still don't want to... I don't want to support Woody Allen or Roman Polanski or all these different,
you're almost doing a disservice to everybody else by not watching it simply because one person, like...
What's wrong with Roman Polanski?
Mm-hmm.
And there's not a way to separate people like Woody Allen out of there, or Tom Cruise or things like this.
And like and honestly, to point out too, like how hard it can be to do that. Like no one's stopped listening. And so that's just been like that's a thing. It's like it's hard to reconcile, especially when somebody has such a large place in pop culture, and
there is limits though, right? I mean,
I literally have stopped listening to R. Kelly.
Were you listening to a lot of R. Kelly before?
You didn't know that?
Like every Halloween, was there like an R. Kelly song that you're just like, oh yeah, I love
the remix
this.
to Ignition,
Thriller, Charlie,
popping fresh out the kitchen,
Space Jam.
Come on, rolling that
right.
body.
So you just named the two songs that everybody would listen to.
Yeah,
every now
yeah,
and
guess when the last time that I listened to those songs, Brad?
Yesterday.
Besides yesterday.
It is weird though, right? So
I walked into Ben's arcade yesterday, and he's just sitting there, just busting one out to remix to Ignition.
Yep. And then it was followed by the entire Hiding in the Closet series that I do love.
Trapped in the Closet.
So you're a fan.
Well,
Nailed it.
well, he didn't get you on that one.
Nailed it.
So it is
Welcome
weird.
to my trap, Brad.
Like, we all love comedy. We love comedy specials. We love seeing comedians. It's easier to kind of close out a comedian because it's pretty much only them, right? I'm never going to listen to a Bill Cosby special
I can
again,
cancel
right?
Louis C.K. in my head and never really worry about him ever again.
And I like Louis C.K. I like his comedy.
And that's actually what brought me back around to this point, was because Louis C.K. came out with a special in 21 that is
won the Emmy or won a Grammy.
hilarious.
I did not watch that, and I don't judge anybody that did.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it because
I haven't brought myself to watch it either. To go back to your point though, is like I'm in the same position as I have as far as like I've watched Kevin Spacey movies. I haven't gone out of my way to listen to like a full Bill Cosby album, but like Charlie and I, there's a very specific special that he and I quote and probably still quote to this day every now and then.
A Bill Cosby.
Bill Cosby.
Okay.
And like he's another one where like he influenced so many people. It's hard to talk about comedy.
I just
and
quoted
things.
it yesterday about the old person trying to get into heaven.
Yeah,
it's one of my favorite jokes ever.
And you live in this weird world, right? Where I don't want to, and one of it maybe is I don't want to put more money.
But where do you draw the line? Do you purposely avoid BP gas stations when you're driving on the road?
Well, no, because
we're all hypocrites at a certain.
Yeah. So
No, I did actually. I did stop going to BP during the oil spill stuff, right?
Sure.
Because again, I'm a person that when you see injustices or when you see all this kind of crap going on, I feel like I should be doing something and I don't know what to do, right? And so the little things about cutting BP out, which just seems, I mean, they didn't miss my money, right?
So but here's the thing, like if we live in a small town, which we do, and you know the workers at the gas station that work there, and the owner of the station is he bought into the franchise. He had no idea BP was going to do this, and we're robbing him of that money.
But he knows
too.
now, and so shut it down.
Right? Yeah, that's not how that works. We all know it. But that's the thing. Like, the cashier at BP is.
it's a leaving it's somebody I went to high school with,
but that's the supporting actress or actor in a Kevin Spacey.
It's
film.
the whole thing, right? With with Tesla right now, right? So Elon Musk is said a lot of things I disagree with. These kind of things. I'm a big fan of Tesla, though. I think what they're doing is great. I think their cars are great. I would have a hard time at this point right now Buying a Tesla. I don't know why.
What if someone gave you a Tesla? Would you,
I-
would
I
you
would
drive it?
I would take it and drive
So,
it like a
I,
peach.
I rented a Tesla. I went to Colorado to see a band that I love, Pearl Jam, and this was about 3 weeks ago. And we rented a Tesla when we were out there just because I've never even been in one. And I thought, okay, let's see what this is all about. And I will tell you right now, it blew every expectation I had.
It's awesome.
It's amazing.
Completely and
They're
utterly
amazing.
out of the water. It was the most exhilarating,
They're nice automobiles.
They're great.
ridiculously fun.
With
but
horrible quality control.
all that being said, I would never buy one. I
Because
just
of the
couldn't bring
statement
myself.
it would make.
Yeah, I don't want to support that man no matter what that
so
means.
so we all live with this dichotomous reality of like what we're willing to go with and what we're not.
But also, I feel like if we're going to go against what is perceived or what we present as our morals, we're not really going to advertise it either. You know, like I'm not necessarily like you're probably not going to go out and tell certain people that like you watched like the latest Tom Cruise movie if you don't have to.
I did though.
Well, no, I know. Well, sure,
He was
but
on this
But you're on a
podcast, he said it.
podcast. But what
I literally broadcasted it
But let's
to
say when his next
billions
one
of people
when his
that
next
listen to
one
this
comes out,
podcast.
if you see it and we didn't tell you to see it,
After we kick you out of here.
You know what? I love that Charlie's like, after I kick you out of here and take my throne.
Well, Charlie, thank you for bringing that up because we have a conversation we have to have with Nate on the air here.
Real quick before I forget, though, I will say
I do think this is an important conversation.
but
though,
another unexpected consequence of rewatching, let's say, an old movie with Kevin Spacey in it is that yes, those actors and actresses and directors and producers and everybody that worked so hard on that film, you want to give them their due in that movie. But much like I'm going to make a kind of a swing here, like driving a Tesla means I'm not going to support Elon Musk, but I'm now electric cars are awesome. So now is there a different brand, right? So at the same time,
but
watching a movie like that, I'm like, oh, I forgot that Mira Sorvino was awesome in that movie. I'm going to search out another one of her films and give her some more support.
to your point to me though, Ben, that you made about
Talking about
BP,
Mina Suvari.
Yeah, her too.
To your point that you made about BP though, and I guess we're probably belaboring this too much, but to your point about BP, there are employees at the BP gas station and stuff like that. There's employees at Tesla that don't agree with Elon Musk.
Also, hey, I'm pretty sure everyone here probably bought some from Amazon in the past week.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, like I just said to Charlie, we're all hypocrites in a certain way.
we all have iPhones, I think.
Yeah, it's true. So, but we're not all Ed Begley Jr., right? We're not going to live off the grid and drink our own pee and make sure that
I was going to say, what did Ed Begley Jr. do?
no, but he's
Living
literally been
clean, living
that-
free.
Yeah.
He's
Well,
been
and how
doing
much-
that since the 60s, 70s, right? And he's never had a scandal. He's never done anything. He's done everything he can for this
We'll
earth.
find out after he dies. What's
that's-
buried in.
That is the so then do you go out of your way to see the new Ed Begley Jr. movie because he's so good to the Mother Earth? Would you?
I do love that we've turned into an ethics podcast. By the way, it didn't take me that long to get us here.
Oh, God damn it.
But
Charlie, why?
Go figure yourself.
yeah.
Hey,
but I don't know. It's a good question on films. We're gonna get to a trailer later, and we've got other things to talk about. But about Super Mario Brothers, and I've already heard people say boycott it, don't see it, and it's not just because of Chris Pratt's voice, because they don't like Chris Pratt's religious or political or whatever views, or just his general disposition towards
People are
life.
still talking about that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that happened before Thor: Love and Thunder, and people still saw it.
Yeah, no, I know, but what I'm saying is, I mean, this is an ongoing question. I think that a lot of people live with. Do you want to support a film, or do you want to support a show?
And
that
let's be
has
very
people
clear
or
here.
directors, or
By and large, no one gives a fuck, right? By and large, like
It's just-
Maverick made $1 billion.
Mm-hmm.
No one cares about Tom Cruise and Scientology. No one, except for the 0.1% that actually do boycott his movies. But they're such the minority that it doesn't really
and
matter.
I want to go on record again.
But
and say-
sometimes they seem like they have the loudest voice.
yeah, it's not even the Scientology that bothers me. It's his views on mental
But-
health,
which
which
is-
might be informed by
it is,
Scientology.
it is.
but. There are other Scientologists that have not made the claims that he has made publicly. They might hold those privately. I don't know.
Yeah.
But he's used his influence publicly, and I think that could have done damage to
Absolutely.
people listening.
So what's going on with Mario?
Nah. Is that everyone's movies?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I will mention real quick that I did watch something else. Two other things actually.
What'd you see?
I watched Smile today.
What is, the only thing I know about that is the baseball,
baseball
marketing
game.
that they did. Yeah.
Smart.
Yeah, great.
Yeah. Oh, the marketing was
viral marketing
was
that
very
did
clever.
you see that at the
Yeah.
baseball game?
Because I'll tell you this, had not heard of the film at all until Twitter made a big deal of
They
this.
hired some actors to smile creepily right behind home plate in Major League Baseball games,
Brilliant.
like for what 45 minutes to an hour at a time.
Yeah, and imagine,
By the way, how the hell?
Yeah, I know.
imagine though how cheap that marketing
Oh,
was compared
absolutely.
to a
Yeah.
national brand. I mean, because that blew up Twitter,
It was
right?
awesome.
Yeah.
So whoever came up with that idea,
Kudos. I know you're a
Kudos to you.
listener, long time
Brilliant.
listener, but
Brilliant. Yeah. So the movie itself is also pretty good too.
Is
It doesn't reinvent the wheel as far as offering anything super original in the realm of horror, but it is definitely creepy, definitely suspenseful, pretty gruesome in some parts too, especially when it comes to the third act.
Is
in
it better
it?
than 1408?
Yeah, absolutely.
I thought 14 was.
So no one's super famous.
Okay.
Sochi Bacon is in it, who is Kevin Bacon's daughter. She's the lead in it, and then Cal Gallner, who you've seen in like some things, but you don't necessarily know, like like
Some up and comers kind of.
yeah, it's definitely a more lower key cast. But it's a good movie. I won't say it's as good as something like Barbarian because it feels like it treads familiar territory, but it's
Better than Old?
Yeah.
I really liked Old.
I think
I
it's more entertaining than Old. Old starts to kind of wear out its welcome for me towards
I
the
felt
end.
the same way. Yep, I was done with it.
Yeah,
after
I
about-
think
An hour.
Old is more intriguing than good.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fair.
I think Old would have been a great book, but
What's the other?
Well, it was a comic before it was
Okay,
a movie.
yeah.
What's your other movie that you saw?
I watched Weird, the Al Yankovic
Oh, yeah.
story.
the one with Harry Potter.
Yeah, his name's Daniel Radcliffe.
I know, but that came out already.
It did not come out. I got a screener because I was doing a press
Frick, of
press
course.
junket for this
I
past
walked
weekend.
into that one. Dang it.
But yeah, so
Hey,
it's,
Brad, who'd you interview?
Felt like you set him up for it.
I interviewed.
I know. I really did, but I did feel like that.
I interviewed the director Eric Apple, which was pretty cool. And so the movie itself, I'm not going to spoil anything, obviously, but it premiered at TIFF already, so like reactions are out there.
What is TIFF?
TIFF is Toronto International Film Festival, and it is so good. It is.
Did you really like it?
It's hilarious. It is not quite reached the greatness of Walk Hard, which was what it emulates, but it goes in a much more interesting and absurd direction than Walk Hard, so that it's not just a biopic parody. It just feels more. It digs into different comedic arenas along
it's
with
really
what you
not
expect.
the story of Weird Al, right? It's
Right.
not.
No, it's true.
It is.
Every-
It is Daniel
every-
Radcliffe singing, but
It's not, as we established. But no, what's great about it too is it's there are tons of random cameos in it, even for just like the smallest parts, and so that's a big
I'm
part of the
excited
fun
to see
too.
that. Aren't they releasing it on like
Roku.
Tubi or something?
Roku.
Like,
Roku.
okay.
Roku's the ones who made it, and
Quibi.
it'll be released on
Quibi.
Roku.
Quibi.
I wish it was getting a theatrical release because this is the kind of movie that would be so fun to see with an audience, but audiences also aren't seeing comedies like this in theaters anymore. So
It's too bad because I hope people do see it because it's on Roku and
Yeah.
like there are
Rami
films
Malek
that
is in it as Freddie Mercury. It's pretty great.
that's not true.
I look forward to seeing
I
it
haven't
now.
seen the movie. Why would I know that?
Well, people are going to believe you because you're a trusted source on a great podcast.
It is a great pop.
A
podcast.
trusted, you know what? Ben Conowitz, a trusted source on a great podcast.
All right, moving on. We watched some trailers. Which trailers did you guys watch?
we
well,
also we should
all
watch
watched
Wait, did we all
the
pick
trailers.
different ones?
Which one did you guys watch? Oh, I watched the old trailer for Good Burger.
I watched.
is
I
that?
actually watched Good Burger on Wednesday this week.
Hell yeah, you did.
Yeah, I
It's
did.
great.
trailer.
So we watched the.
Time. Having some fun with the trailer time. Pulling into the station, having some fun. Me and Brad and Ben having more than fun. Just trailer time.
Nice. That was a good quartet we had there.
Hey, welcome to the team.
So let's
Trailer.
Oh,
time.
shit.
Okay, no, well, derailed the
Let's,
train there. Sorry.
So let's start with
got a little-
with the trailer that is something that is both festive for Christmas and for a little bit for
You
Halloween.
guys know I love Christmas movies.
Yeah.
Super Mario.
Brothers.
Yep, there we go. No, Violent Night. This trailer.
I don't even know how to talk about this.
This trailer is so fun. So David Harbour is playing Santa Claus, and he
I love David Harbour.
stumbles
so much.
upon
Love
a
him.
Die Hard-esque situation where John Leguizamo is this criminal who has taken a family hostage because he wants the $300 million that is apparently in their private vault. And Santa Claus is the only person who can save him, and it's David Harbour being a badass Santa Claus.
It's Bad Santa meets Die Hard meets John Wick.
Yeah.
With Richie
Ish?
Rich sprinkled in.
Meets Krampus.
Where's the Richie Rich come from?
The family has so much money in their private vault.
I'm not sure Richie Rich is the only movie where there's a rich family featured.
Okay,
Okay.
And also, the rich family didn't have money in their private vault.
a couple things, real quick.
What?
A couple things about this trailer.
Have you seen this movie already?
No, I've seen Richie Rich.
It's family heirlooms.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
it's just
sorry.
full of family heirlooms.
Yeah.
I want to say this publicly because again, our listeners need to know. David Harbour is amazing at everything. I can't wait to see this. This was also written by Patrick Casey and Josh Miller, who wrote, which I thought was a surprisingly decent movie. Not great, but decent movie, Sonic the Hedgehog.
I haven't seen it.
I like Sonic. That
It's
joke.
okay.
Here's where I'll say Sonic the Hedgehog is one of those movies where you go in, you don't expect anything, and you get something that wasn't bad.
Absolutely.
And
So that's
and
what
so
I,
it makes
that's
it,
what I thought about Detective Pikachu.
Yeah,
I
no,
actually
it-
really
very much-
enjoyed that, and I know nothing about.
I think Detective Pikachu is better than the first Sonic the Hedgehog. I think Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is pretty good though.
Oh, really?
So
You
where?
like two better
So
than
out of
one?
two
the
better.
out of those 3 movies, where does each one fall? Then it's
I think they're all
Pikachu 2
pretty
and 1.
similar.
2
But
Pikachu 1.
I did like Pikachu.
Yeah, I would say
Pikachu.
Sonic 2 and Detective Pikachu are on pretty similar ground, and Sonic the Hedgehog, the first one, is a little bit below.
I think surprisingly though, again, I'm not saying they're great. Surprisingly better than you would expect out
Sure.
of a Sonic the Hedgehog film, right? Especially after creepy Sonic the Hedgehog got fixed. And so these guys have done something that I can trust to say, oh, that was
Yeah.
pretty good actually. So I'm excited about this film. I'm going
It
to
just looks
see it.
like such a great mix
looks
of
fun,
of comedy
it looks-
and like
yep.
brutal action. I also love that David Harbour is actually Santa Claus
Yep.
and not just somebody who like has a job as a mall Santa. The fact that he like uses some of his Santa
Magic.
magic and stuff is so cool.
So I didn't see the trailer until I got over here just before the podcast. Ben turned it on, and my jaw was on the floor the entire time.
Yeah,
I
it
am
is.
so excited for this movie. I can't wait to go home and show Taylor this trailer. I'm going to tell everybody about this movie. I cannot wait.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun.
The cheesy one-liners, everything's just
And also, just
perfect.
again to Nate's point, great casting. Like David Harbour is perfectly cast as this.
Also, someone pointed out too that it's not every day you get to see someone who was a diehard nobody henchman become the main villain in
There
like a
you go.
diehard kind of movie. So John Leguizamo, nicely done.
Okay, full circle.
Yeah,
And speaking of Luigi,
yeah.
hey,
Mario and Luigi Mario. They're both in this movie. The Super Mario Brothers. Oh yeah!
Hey, you got some pastrami for us?
Oh, Mushroom Kingdom, here we come!
He doesn't.
Oh!
The crazy part is,
It's
Ayo!
me! The dice is Super Mario!
wait, you're doing Andrew Dice Clay?
Oh!
It has evolved into that, or like is it Marcelo Hernandez from our SNL podcast?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very much sound like.
Oh, man. This, so
What did you say earlier, Charlie? I'm Mario here.
I'm Mario in here.
So this is a new animated movie that they're making. Nintendo
I think
Nintendo
you disliked this
approved.
more than I did.
Here's the thing.
I know I'm supposed to hate it because Twitter hated it. But
I don't hate it.
No, you're never supposed to hate anything just because Twitter hates it. Because Twitter hates
I know,
a lot
but
of stupid
you hate
shit.
Martin Scorsese now because Twitter told you to.
That's a good point.
I hate Martin Scorsese because he said MCU movies weren't real movies.
Oh no, that's in that article. By the
He
way,
didn't really say that they weren't real movies. He just said that they're like
They're not good.
They're like
They're candy.
They're like theme park rides,
Yeah.
and he's not entirely wrong.
No, he's wrong.
I just
You
don't,
know,
I wish he
Marvel
wasn't
movies
quite
are
so dismissive of them. I understand why he is, but I don't.
He's
I
like
don't-
an 80-year-old
I don't-
He's a
man.
90-year-old white man that's always been in power.
Wow.
Oh
that's
wow,
not-
you're
The audacity.
Yeah,
You know,
you-
what are you joining?
You're really
are you
hashtag
joining
AOC us on that
joining one of
one.
those blogs where they like just take down film
I
titans
just
now?
don't think that Martin Scorsese is a good filmmaker.
Are blogs still a thing?
Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
All right. So I'm gonna give you an opinion here, and I might not. People might not like this. I don't think we heard enough of Chris Pratt for people to freaking.
Nope, I did.
That's fine. I'm good. He got a line out, and he got a line out.
And did it sound
and
anything?
It wasn't good.
Did it sound anything like Super Mario from the video games?
I don't care.
You should
I
care
don't
because there's
care.
a voice actor
No, I
right there
don't
who has
care.
voiced Super Mario for years.
I don't
and
care.
sounds like the character should. And guess what?
You know
he's
what?
even in this movie.
I don't care.
As Mario for the important parts.
But yeah, so it's ridiculous.
he,
No, there's
Yoshi?
I don't care. I don't care. It's a new.
you don't care that they got Chris Pratt to just do his normal fucking Chris Pratt voice, but just with a little bit of I'm having Brooklyn pizza.
You got one line from Chris Pratt there, and they
And
might
you hear
fix
it.
and they
It-
might
it doesn't-
they might fix it. You
no,
don't know.
They
Here's
might
the thing is-
fix it. How?
Because we saw
do you not?
we saw the
Sonic
trailer
the
for
Hedgehog. They fixed.
What are they
Sonic.
gonna fix?
we saw the trailer for Fletch and we hated it, and now we like the movie.
This
so
is-
we
All
can
I'm
reserve
saying
judgment.
is, I just.
let's
I've
not
got
fight.
I've only got so much space to care.
You know how
about
Chris Pratt's
things.
voice sounds.
Yeah, no, he did great in
Here's
Lego
my-
Movie.
here's
Do you-
my
do-
problem.
Do you think he did well voicing?
Do I think he did well voicing himself in the Lego movie
Yeah, do you
as
think he
Emmett?
does
Yes.
fine?
But this is a different scenario because this is a character that has an established voice and style and personality, and he doesn't sound anything like him. And the larger problem is there's so much more about this that why it's frustrating is because for the longest time Nintendo didn't make movies out of their video games because Super Mario Brothers the movie, the live action one,
It's
was so
good.
bad.
It's amazing.
And so now we're getting a Mario
But you
Brothers
know what?
movie, and this
You know
is what
what?
they're doing. They're letting Chris
that
Pratt
voice, that
voice
guy,
Mario.
that live action guy, he really knew how to do the voice though.
That's true. Bob Hoskins was great. No, but yeah. So like this is like a scenario where like you have we talked about this before. Stop getting big name actors to voice characters when they're just going to do their own fucking
I'll give you
voice.
that. There's nothing about Chris Pratt I think needs in this film, right? I don't think you had to do Chris
So
Pratt.
off air, Charlie had a really good point about this, and I would like you to share that. Charlie.
Okay, go ahead.
So my point when it comes to celebrities voicing animated characters never works when it's an established IP. Mario, Detective Pikachu. It
Yeah.
only works when the characters are built for them. Tom Hanks is Woody, but
Wreck-It Ralph.
Wreck-It
Yeah.
Ralph, Buzz and Woody.
Like we did
You've never
Lightning
heard their voice
McQueen.
movie, right?
If
Yeah.
you've never heard their voice before, then you will just associate that actor with that voice, and that's fine.
Well, that, and then
But if you're-
as the movie's being produced, they can make Lightning McQueen more like Owen Wilson,
Right.
or make Woody more like Tom
well, you
Hanks.
can't do that with
With an
something
established
that has
IP.
been established.
People flipped out over Chris Evans, right? Becoming the new Buzz Lightyear because that is not Tim Allen, right? That is not Tim Allen.
Yeah, and it did gangbusters, didn't it?
But I didn't. I just had a hard time caring. I
I mean, I don't think that's the best example because the premise
wasn't
for the
the
movie
same-
wasn't all that
it
great to
wasn't the-
begin with.
well, it
and,
wasn't
like,
the
no,
same
I know,
character.
but no.
yeah,
I'm just talking about the
but
actual.
It's a movie about the
conversation
real
voice.
man Buzz Lightyear and not the toy.
Well, why would what toy is it not the same as the voice?
Actually, if did you grow up in like the 80s and 90s? Most of the toys that talked never
Hey.
actually had the voices
Hey.
of the actors in the movies.
First, I did. Second,
and
which
third,
one are you talking about?
And third,
Any.
I have a Jurassic Park premium pinball machine that they could not get the voices for.
And
a
it's 2022.
It's a $10,000 pinball machine on location at my stupid fucking arcade, and it's like Dennis Nedry, where's he at? It's like, who was the Italian guy? Get him to play Mario.
So, do you think though? I would like to know the statistics for. Do you need Chris Pratt and do you need Anya Taylor-Joy? Do you need Charlie Day and Jack Black and Keegan Michael Keel?
yes,
Keel.
yes.
Sorry.
No, no,
Kegels.
no. Everybody
Kegels.
shut up. Everybody shut up right now. Nate, say his name one more time.
Keegan Michael Kegels. Do you need them in a film to get people to go see it? Would a no-name voice actor that is big to you, Brad, because you know some voice actors,
Yeah.
would that do enough to get people to want to go see the film?
That's the thing is I'm not necessarily sure how much research has ever been done into like asking people like there's no real easy way to find out because all these movies already have the parts cast, so like the actors are in them. We don't have any way of figuring out whether or not someone would have gone to see a movie if Bart Jardiack was voicing Super Mario.
Is that a real
Classic.
person?
Yeah, Bart Jardiack is a very famous voice actor. No, and
Hey, Bart Jardiack here.
my audition for Mario. Here it
Everybody,
comes.
here we go. Here we go.
All right, let me get a mushroom.
Bart Jardiack here. I apologize. I am coming off of a pretty long ayahuasca.
Are you
bend.
holding the microphone stand like a cigar right now?
Everyone, don't question my methods, please. This is how I do it as Bart Jardiack.
But yeah, we have no idea whether or not people are actually going to see a Super Mario Brothers movie because like, oh, Chris Pratt's in it. I wasn't going to see Super Mario Brothers until I saw Chris Pratt was in it. You know,
I think Mario's got a bigger name power.
I agree.
But I think there are some voice actors who could put butts in seats, like Nancy Cartwright or Billy West.
There are, yeah, and you're right. There are some real voice actors that have a big enough name that could do things. The problem tends to be nowadays the Angry Birds movie. You see the trailer and it's whatever the trailer, but then the screen.
Oh, they have so many people in this.
well,
This must be good.
It cuts to black and it goes,
Jason Sudeikis,
Bill Hader,
Hader.
and it just keeps going, and you're like, oh wow, what?
Yeah.
If all of these famous people lent their trust and their brand to this movie, the movie then must be good,
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
that's the problem.
Yeah.
I think one of the only saving graces is like Brad said, Nintendo's held off on making movies because of the original Super Mario Brothers movie.
What did you guys think about the visuals?
I think
I
that's
think-
what I'm saying.
No,
I
the
think it
animation.
looked great.
I think
The
the
animation
movie
is
looks
fantastic.
beautiful.
I love that the animation actually has like some texture to it. It doesn't feel like it's just shiny, polished computer animation. I like the look of the movie.
And that's maybe what pissed me off, Brad, is that everyone was only talking about Chris Pratt, and I thought there was so much more to this trailer that
Well,
was
'cause
Well,
there
there is
was
another
so much-
there is another critique that they have.
There was so
and
much-
I have the same one.
There was so much lead up and hype because of it, especially
Okay.
because there was specifically it was said in the press release or something. It's like Chris Pratt. You've never heard Chris Pratt do something like this with his voice before, and it's like, yeah, you're
Oh,
right.
I didn't see that. Okay,
yeah, you're
Also, yeah, don't do that.
yeah.
You're right. I've never heard him do a really bad Brooklyn
Don't
accent.
say that.
yeah. So
Yeah,
it's
never talk something up like that.
Seriously, don't like. Oh my god, I better hear him.
When I
like,
tell people about this podcast, I'm like, it's the worst podcast you've heard. And then when they listen, they're like, it was better than
Ben
I thought.
Conowitz has never done anything like this with his voice before.
The name is Bart Jardiack, and let me tell you one
But
thing.
it's Bud now.
No, Bart.
But if
Bart
I'm being
Jardiack.
honest too, as much as I like somebody like Jack Black who has done like
Yeah,
good voice
You
work,
weren't impressed with that either.
yeah,
right?
I don't think he works for Bowser. I think it's interesting because I do think he has the right energy that Bowser projects, but for whatever reason, I don't think his voice fits the character.
For Jack Black, I would like to hear more of it. I
Yeah.
don't think we heard enough, even though we got more lines from him than we did of Mario.
Yeah.
I really liked Keegan-Michael Key as Toad. I think that's going to work out really well.
Yeah, he's solid.
And I'm super
but
excited.
he's also somebody who like does voice work,
Yeah,
and
he-
he can do a variety
I
of
think he is
characters.
a legitimate voice
It's not just
actor.
Keegan Michael Key as Toad. You know?
Sure. But I'm also really excited to hear Charlie Day as Luigi. That has me really stoked.
We'll see.
Because he's Italian.
Well, there's a reason. There's a reason why they didn't show him in this trailer. If
Well,
this
they
is a
didn't
super-
show him. We just didn't hear it.
Right. So it's kind of like they're saving another ace up their sleeve, in my opinion, right? Why would you give the farm away with Mario and keep Luigi behind unless Luigi's going to be this kind of steal the show?
Or unless like they just
Or
want,
it's really
they don't,
bad.
They don't want to disappoint you twice.
Listen, Bart Jardiac here one more time real quick. I just got off from a tour with my band, Jardiac Arrest. You can catch us on Twitter. And I'm here for Mario. Here we go. Hey, fuck you, Toad Guy. I don't know. I've not read the script. What are we doing?
This is pretty good. I will listen to Bart Jardiac's comedy album immediately after this podcast is done recording.
Brad, did you write a game this time?
Fuck no.
Oh, Nate?
No, I have not written a game, but we
Ben,
can.
you were
Well, you guys
supposed
are-
to you were
you guys
supposed
are-
to write the game because I think you made a very
You
bold
did
declaration
invite-
last episode. Whoever invites the guest writes the game, and you invited Charlie on the podcast, and there's no fucking game in your lap.
I wrote a game.
Okay, let's
Yeah.
hear it.
It's called Movies to be Buried with Presents Nate Laux.
Oh,
All right, so oftentimes when we don't want to play a game or we didn't write a game because we were too lazy, we ask a question from Films to be Buried with, a podcast that we like, starring Roy Kent. What is Roy Kent?
Brett Goldstein from Ted
Hercules.
Lasso. He is
And
Hercules
so
now.
he's got a podcast again, Films to be Buried with, where he goes through these questions with guests, usually celebrities, and asks them these questions about films that meant a lot to them. So here's a question for you: what film is objectively the greatest film? This does not have to mean the film that you like the most. This does not have to be the film but it is it is what do you think is objectively the greatest film that you've saw? Not you can't pick like something like you haven't seen. Like I haven't seen Ben-Hur. I'm not going to pick that one.
Wow.
Objectively, do you think
Objectively.
is the greatest.
If you had to so basically you have to make a case that it's objectively the best movie.
Yeah, exactly. You again, oftentimes The Godfather's brought up, right? Because of the direction, because of the acting. That doesn't mean The
I don't know if
Godfather's your favorite film, though.
Well, that's the thing is I don't necessarily know if you can pick one that is like because if it's objectively, then it's something that has to feel like it's at least mostly beloved.
I think you have to make a case that
Yeah. What is the movie that you could make the case for the most?
Yeah.
That it's the objectively because that is a very loaded question, obviously.
Yep.
Because opinions do matter in film. But if you had to make the
art.
case
Yep.
for the most objectively perfect movie, what case could you build the best on? Like what's the movie that gives you the most to work with on building the case? I think for me it's Citizen Kane, and the reason it is because it is to me almost an objectively fantastic, perfect film. The number of things that Orson Welles did that had never existed previously.
Yeah, he did a lot of innovation.
It was
there.
incredible. And then on top of that, it is a
Compelling story.
thank you with a twist ending.
Mm-hmm.
All of that stuff, right? So it checks all those boxes, and that's why I think that.
I think the only reason I wouldn't go out of my way to pick a movie like Citizen Kane is because it's one of those movies that's not easy for everybody to watch, and I think there's a lot of people who especially average moviegoers, who would watch Citizen Kane and not be able to respect it or really understand why it was great because it's an older movie and it can be harder for certain people to watch this kind of movie.
No, absolutely. You can shit on mine all day long without coming to Patreon. It's great.
Because I totally agree with you with everything you said about Citizen Kane. But I feel like if you want it to be something that were objectively the greatest movie, I feel like it has to meet a lot of different parameters. And while that one does check off a lot of boxes, I'm thinking of something that is a little bit more universally appealing, like Back to the Future.
Back to the Future is my answer. So.
Like Back to the Future is, not only is it beloved and entertaining, it was a huge hit. It is a movie that is constantly referenced by screenwriters and producers as having like a technically perfect screenplay. It's used as like a lesson for like how to write scripts in Hollywood when they teach her in classes and stuff like that. It's funny. It has an interesting concept. Great performances.
Sci-fi while still being grounded.
Yeah,
perfectly casted.
It honestly has a bit of everything: comedy, romance, sci-fi, action, all that stuff.
And the behind the scenes too, because it's how much that movie had to go through to get made, how many studios turned it down, and how the tenacity of the Bob brothers to make it happen.
Yeah. And he means Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale,
Yeah.
who are the director and writer respectively.
So you guys would both pick.
That was gonna be my answer. I was waiting for it to come to
That
me.
was the first one that came to mind.
Objectively, the greatest film ever made is.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. That's such a hard question to answer.
No, it's super easy.
Go ahead.
I'm just kidding. It is hard, right? I
What do
mean,
you think?
But I know, but I love that because the idea is that it's a great answer, but then for Brad Oman or Charlie to be like, objectively, the best movie ever made is Back to the Future. It doesn't come off the tongue right? Like,
No, of
it
course.
doesn't feel right. It doesn't. But your
and I
case
know
is-
people who don't really like Back to the Future.
But your
But
case
you-
is solid.
But
I agree.
you make a very solid argument there.
Well, and for the movie to be almost 40 years old now and still hold up and not look like it was made in 1985
For the most part.
for the most part. But the special and it's trickery. They a lot of those special effects were filmed at night so they could hide their crimes. But it had a lot of CGI back in the day for 1985, and it holds up in 2022. So it has technical aspect, it has story, it has screenplay, it has story, it has heart.
What do you think, Nate? Do you have any suggestions?
So for me, I feel like I should pick a black and white film.
If
right?
you say Back to the Future, I'm gonna be so fucking mad at you.
No, I'm going to tell you, Back to the Future was not even on my short list. I think it's I'm telling you before you said it. I didn't even think of that, but it's a good film, great film. But I feel like
What makes you think you have to choose a black and white film?
I don't know.
Just-
I'm just telling you,
because that, like,
it
registers it as a
kind of
classic?
Like Ben said, it just doesn't feel right to pick a film of the last 40 years when I feel like you've got or The Godfather, you've got Lawrence
No,
of
for sure.
Arabia.
But by the same token, I feel like it's also unfair to feel like you have to pick
I know.
an older movie because there have been so many innovations that have made movies better since
You're
then.
not wrong at all. I'm just saying, internally, there's something that seems like I should pick.
'Cause-
My wife's favorite film, Casablanca, right? Which is, I think, objectively a great film.
Yeah.
It is.
But hey, when's the last time you sat down and you were like, I'm really in the mood to watch Casablanca tonight, honey? Put it on.
okay, I will say this: I have to watch it once a year because my wife watches it once a year.
Okay, yeah, but I mean, I have
but
to watch
also-
It's a Wonderful Life once a year because it's great and I want to
It's
do it.
great,
Well,
exactly.
I-
But
I would-
also,
I would
it's not
almost-
objectively the best movie ever made.
Right.
I would actually put It's a Wonderful Life above Casablanca. It is one of my favorite films, and I think every year I watch it, I'm blown away by just how perfect the film is.
That's how I feel about Jingle All the Way.
Perfectly shot. It's
My cookies.
supremely acted. It's just a great film.
It is.
So
it's one of those two where it has obviously stood the test of time, and not just because this is a classic movie,
Yep.
but because it remains relevant to this day.
And like I said, even just when you watch the cinematography, and again, there's not a lot of. Everything now is digital, right? They've got these really beautiful, wonderful tech screens that they can do wonderful shots in. I've seen now, again, modern movies. You just can't trust that any of them are filmed outside of a studio now because the technology is so beautiful, right? Well, they didn't have that then, right? I mean, it's clearly we're shooting in a studio, but like the hard way, right? Where you actually have to work the shots out. You have to think through it. There's physics involved. These
Well,
kind
to be
of
fair,
things.
that's not to say that when they do use those effects that those things aren't thought out
No,
because
And objectively
absolutely
maybe be even harder.
yeah, because you have to have it squared away before you start shooting.
I just know, again, listening to filmmakers, the difference between, stuff they had to do 30 to 40 years ago. They would argue that today's a lot more forgiving because you can fix
Well, yeah,
it in
fix it
post.
in post, right?
Oh yeah, of course.
And so you couldn't do that then, right? You're Gone with the Wind. Once you're done, you're done. That's what you got.
There's a whole team of animators who may argue that point against you, though.
Well, but they can just redraw it.
Yeah, so easy.
No, it's not easy, but it can be done.
Let's
Go ahead.
movies can be reshot.
Well, yeah, you're not gonna go back and reshoot the entirety of a movie
Of The
back
Wizard
then
of Oz,
for $1 billion
right?
nowadays. But with the animation, that one scene that didn't go right, it's $2 million under the budget. They'll do it.
They went back and fixed Sonic's eyes because we all complained about it and redid a whole movie.
Well, not just his
and-
eyes, but his entire face.
sure, yeah,
And they did it in like 3 months.
yeah.
But if you listen to the VFX artists who had to do that, it was
I know.
a fucking nightmare.
I know. But they could do it. Like Ben said, they could do it though. They wouldn't be able to do that to reshoot Gone with the Wind.
Back in the day, you would have to literally make the movie twice, right?
Well, it depends on what you're reshooting, because like there are reshoots on live action movies
Of
that
course.
don't have visual effects all the time, and so like it just depends. There are almost always reshoots on a movie.
I pulled up the American Film Institute's list of 100 greatest films ever again to kind of go with objectively.
So you cheated this too.
No, because I actually don't agree with them. But just to kind of give you some conversation pieces here. So for them, the top 10 would be Citizen Kane. Are you guys Citizen Kane fans?
Yeah, I love Citizen Kane.
Yeah, that was your
That
pick,
was
right?
That was literally what I
That-
picked.
I know.
Ben's choice.
I didn't know if the rest of you guys. Casablanca.
Have you seen Citizen Kane, Charlie?
No.
The Godfather is number 3.
Yeah.
Gone with the Wind, Lawrence of Arabia, The Wizard of Oz, The Graduate.
Sure.
Would you include that in your top 10, you think?
Love The Graduate. I don't know if I'd put it in my personal top 10, but
But objectively, a very, 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 very good movie. Yes.
yes.
On the Waterfront?
Haven't seen it?
I've not seen that. Schindler's List,
Sure.
Singing in the Rain.
Great musical.
Is it a great film?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a Wonderful Life would be number 11 for them. Sunset Boulevard. I've never seen Sunset
Billy
Boulevard.
Wilder. Yeah, I watched it in college, and it is a very good movie.
Yes.
The Bridge of the Bridge on the
Water-
River Kwai.
Kwai.
Some Like It Hot. And then 15, controversial. Star Wars.
How is that controversial?
I don't think Star Wars is great.
But it's great for.
I don't know that it's objectively the best. movie.
I will say this.
Here's the thing.
All these other films I watch today and still feel it's great. When I watch Star Wars, I actually have to consciously forgive them. For
I
some
think
things
Star
during the
Wars
film.
comes with extra baggage where like you
the
feel-
tech stuff is just so hard.
It has a lot more pressure, but there's so much tech stuff in Star Wars that is still great. And the thing you have to remember about Star Wars is it was one of the first sci-fi movies of its kind to have action and visual effects and production design that felt realistic. They didn't have cheesy like ships floating in space on strings and stuff like that. There was a lot of technical innovation on this movie from George Lucas, basically creating Industrial Light and Magic out of nothing with
Yeah.
the right team of people and delivering this story that was a big sci-fi adventure that felt bigger than any movie of its kind until it came out. Like sci-fi didn't look like Star Wars until Star Wars came along.
So
you know,
on that list,
Changed the industry.
yeah, it was. It changed
on that list
so many things.
To add to that, like Jaws, right? Objectively, the first blockbuster.
Mm-hmm.
Terminator 2.
That's number 48, by the way, on their list. Jaws is.
Terminator 2, the best sequel ever made, right? Maybe Aliens, but
Empire
but-
Strikes
Empire
Back.
Strikes Back.
Sorry, yeah, I gotcha. But Alien, right? Objectively, a perfect horror. The Thing, the 80s one.
Yeah, John Carpenter's.
Objectively, a very like 10 out of 10 horror movie. So there are objectively these great movies. Because it's in the genre of horror, though, does that Alien or The Thing would never be like. I
Yeah.
think that
I feel like they
the
already-
Thing is objectively the best movie
on
ever
this-
made, right?
Again,
You're not gonna
if
say
I
that.
would put, I think in their top 40 anyway, they put E.T., which is again
Great horror movie.
no, but certainly a sci-fi type of film.
Sure.
Right? So again, I don't know. I think Star Wars is hard for me also because while the acting is fine, I don't think anybody knocks it out of the park.
No, but
in
it's
Star
also meant to.
Wars.
It's also a movie though where like it was always like created to act and like imitate serials that had a little bit of cheese to them. You know,
Okay.
even though I think that the acting is terrible in the prequels, I do think that there is a part of it that is intentional. I just don't necessarily like it very much because it's weird to see actors like Ewan McGregor and Natalie Portman acting essentially what you would say is poorly, but it does fit in the style of acting that they do in the original Star Wars movies. You know, they're not Oscar caliber performances. They're kind of they're a bit cheesy because they're emulating these serials that George Lucas saw when he was a kid in theaters. You know, it's supposed to feel like that, like a little bit of artificiality to it.
Purposefully bad.
I'm not gonna say that. But
It is interesting though when you see this film. For instance, some of the films we've brought up, really almost all the films, the AFI list, these kind of things. a lot of the films, most are 1970, 75 or earlier. Is that just kind of nostalgia speaking through this, do you think?
I don't think it's nostalgia. I think
were we better at making films back then?
I think it's respect. I think it's there. I think a lot of people, when they make lists like this, especially that are supposed to be all time, they don't want to feel like they're ignoring the movies that laid the groundwork for what would become influential movies later and movies that people revere today. You want to pay respect and acknowledge being like, oh yes, this is why The Wizard of Oz was great. This is why the It's Wonderful Life is great. Why Sunset Boulevard is great, because they came before and like set the groundwork for like all these other movies that would then kind of reinvent those kinds of movies, take different approaches, do more inventive things, and build upon what came before.
So it's partly the innovation as well, then, of the film that brought or defined a genre like Star Wars did.
I'll give you a little tangential analogy here. The NBA came out with their top 50 players for the first 50 years of the league. And then they came out with their top 75 players for the first 75 years of the league, which just happened last year. So in 25 years from when I was a kid watching the NBA and there was a top 50 and Michael Jordan was number one, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Larry Bird, on all these guys, right?
Manute Bol.
Everybody's in that list. So then you are tasked as the NBA with coming up with the top 75. Now, in the last 25 years, some would posit that about 100 players were better than the first 50.
Oh, of course.
But how many of those 50 are you going to delete? And the answer for them in the NBA was like 7. So out of those 50 players, 7 of them are no longer even on the 75 list. And that means that only, a lot of them, the people that came in the last 25 years didn't get their day in court. Maybe in 100 years when we look back at the history and there's a longevity factor there. But people would have conversations about that and say...
I think that's the tough thing, too.
That happens with films, too, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly. And because it's the idea of it's tough to say, a movie that came out in the past 10 years deserves to be listed among some of the greatest films of all time because it's so young and hasn't stood the test of time yet. You have to figure out how much time has to pass before you acknowledge that okay, a movie like The Social Network, which I would say was one of the best movies of the decade. It's my favorite movie of the decade. Deserves to be called one of the greatest movies of all time.
So then where, Schindler's List now has been out for long enough where it's well, holy shit, that's going to stand the test. Saving Private Ryan. Mm-hmm. Those are 2 incredible films that have come out in the last 30 years.
Yeah.
Where do they then rank in the AFI? Where is Schindler's List on the AFI? Is it
top 10? It was 9.
Top 10? Okay.
It was 9.
So there are these movies that do penetrate that, but
let me look through there and I'll pull because again, this is I think a good point you make. Some of the films that are in the, let's say, since we've been born.
Sure.
Okay. 98.
And this is in the top 100.
Yes, correct.
Gotcha.
Unforgiven is number 98. That came out in 1992.
Mm-hmm.
Love that movie.
Pulp Fiction is 95.
Sure.
Came out in 95 or 94.
94.
Goodfellas 94. Going up.
That young and up and coming filmmaker, Martin Scorsese.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he's any good. I mean, Rocky would be 78. It's right before us, but again, Dances with Wolves, number 75.
See, I would need to rewatch that. My mom made me watch it when it came out when I was 10, and I was like, "Why am I watching this?"
I watched it in school.
There were no wolves.
Forrest
Yes,
Gump.
there are.
See, I don't even remember.
Forrest Gump, 71. Do you like Forrest Gump better than Pulp Fiction?
Forrest Gump would be overrated on this list,
in
my opinion.
I love Forrest Gump.
I will always love Forrest Gump.
Got a soft spot for it, but
yeah, I think Pulp Fiction is a better movie.
should have won the Oscar that year.
Yeah, I would say so.
Silence of the Lambs is number 65.
Mm-hmm.
I have no problem with that.
Raiders of the Lost Ark is 60.
Could be lower.
Shut up.
No, I'm being honest. It should be lower.
You mean higher on the list?
Like what?
Like
where
lower
would
number.
you put
It should
it?
be a lower number.
Oh, okay.
So yes,
Okay.
higher on the list. I apologize, Brian.
And other than
I'm
that,
not
I'm
fighting
looking
you,
through a lot of Apocalypse Now is a 1979 film. E.T. is number 25. Raging Bull 24.
So is there anything from the last decade on the list at all?
No, but let me see when this list was made though, because it may have been.
The list was made in 1999, which makes it tough.
No, so funny. It was made in 1998.
Was it really?
Yeah.
They've updated it since then.
They have, and I just found the link to that. Let me see if there's anything.
So this entire conversation is predicated on an old list.
Yeah. What's interesting?
Green Book is number 1 now.
No. Okay. So here's interesting. 95 on the new list, Toy Story.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
You
I'm
put that
totally
in
fine
there.
with that. Of course I am. Jurassic Park better be on there.
89, The Sixth Sense.
I mean, it's a great film, but I don't know that it's like
Did
objectively.
it not define a little bit of a genre, though?
Sure, but I don't know that it's.
I mean,
in the top 100 of all
yeah.
time. I just don't get that.
I disagree with that.
74. I don't think this was in the first one. The Silence of the Lambs.
It was.
it was.
Yeah,
was.
it was.
Okay.
It was 75 then.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it got better.
72, The Shawshank Redemption. That came out in 94. They did not include it on the 98 list, obviously, because it was probably still new.
4 years old. There you go.
And now they've included it.
Okay, just find Jurassic Park for me, and we can be done with this whole conversation. Where is Jurassic Park on this list? Is it not on it?
See, that's upsetting. Jurassic Park should be on the list
It
instead
absolutely should be.
of the movie we just said, Sixth Sense.
Would you say instead of Raiders of the Lost Ark?
No.
But I would say instead of Forrest Gump
Or The Sixth Sense.
or The Sixth Sense.
Where's Back to the Future on that list?
Ooh.
I swear to God.
And this is the
Well, flip
AFI,
shit.
the American Film Institute,
Yeah.
that has their heads so far up their asses.
I'm going to tell you this. It did not make the list. But it did at number 50, The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring.
I'm okay with that.
No, that's fine.
I would prefer that
No,
I would prefer
I
that
mean-
we recognize the Lord of the Rings as a trilogy, basically just being one movie, because I feel like that's what it should be. But
and I want my reaction to be like, that's fine, meaning like that's not surprising. It should be on that
Yeah.
list, but so should fucking Back to the Future and Jurassic Park. That's insane to me.
yeah, AFI can be a little weird. I think the one I typically like to see what Rolling Stone does, even though they can be way off
wow,
base from time
yeah.
to time.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I don't know. There's
Sometimes the curated lists on Amazon, on IMDb aren't bad either.
That's probably more subjective, but
Yeah.
I do agree with some of them. I've gone through
Yeah.
down the rabbit hole and been like, yeah, this list speaks to me.
Yeah.
But I would love
Exactly.
to listen to or hear from any of our listeners. What do you guys think is the objectively for you the
yeah,
greatest?
call in
film?
right now.
We have our first caller.
555.
Also, no, real quick.
Let us know in the comments.
before we end up. here,
2424.
do you think that it is maybe if you had 10 genres of film to pick from?
I do.
and you can do that, right? We can break like it's not just drama, comedy, horror, and action, right? There are
Yeah,
enough
yeah.
enough
Yeah,
to do
there's
10.
sci-fi.
So, do you think it's
comedy.
more important to last? Sorry, is it more important to list the top 10 movies of 10 genres or a 100 best overall?
Well, I don't know if it's a matter of importance. It's when you're doing genres, like it's easier because you have less to choose from. So obviously doing all time is always going to be more difficult. And
So, because all that's going to do is make the top 10 dramatic movies the hardest thing to pick. Because a lot of the Oscar winners are just dramas. And those are some of the best movies ever made, but they're all dramas.
yeah, but at the same time, like I
Like,
don't
is
know.
The Graduate a comedy?
I think a lot of people would say it's a comedy.
Right? So that you get into those nuanced takes of like, what's a horror film? What's a comedy?
Yeah.
That's fair. Just thought I'd throw that out there.
Well, there you go. Back to the Future is the greatest movie of all time. We solved
And
it.
you know what? Number 2, Citizen Kane.
Yeah, we figured it out.
Number
guys.
3, Nate Lauk said Titanic, which was surprising. But I do appreciate you, buddy.
I
was not-
wasn't going to bring that up.
Wait, what
That
was your
not
movie?
on
What
any
did you say?
list. I would say Casablanca or
It's a Wonderful Life.
It's a Wonderful Life, probably.
So which one? Because you have to say one.
I'll go with It's a Wonderful Life only because I enjoy it more than Casablanca.
There you
Though I think you can maybe make the argument that Casablanca is a better film, but
Well,
I
that's
enjoy
not
it.
objective.
You want to?
I know, but
You can maybe make the argument
can
that I
make
don't
the
want to sleep on the couch, and
Yeah.
my wife loves Casablanca
Yeah.
more
Exactly,
than.
'cause-
Okay, no, that's fair. Guys, thanks for Charlie, dude. I love you.
Hey,
Thank you
I
so
love
much
you,
for
buddy.
being
Thanks
here.
for finally having me on.
Well, for like the 15th time. But in this new iteration of the
Yeah.
podcast, what did you think? What do you think about the format? What do you think about the new microphones? What do you
I
think
love
about
the
everything?
room. I love the setup. You guys are going big time, and I like it.
We're trying. Brad, you got anything to say?
Everybody has
about
a color-coded mic cable.
color-coded mic cables.
No, just if you like the podcast, please subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, what have you. Please give us some 5-star ratings. Tell people about the show. Ask your friends to listen to it. Ask your parents to listen to it. Maybe give them a surprise and download some podcasts on their phone they don't know about, and try and play it for them. Sneak it in and up on them.
I like this new ABC show, Go Flix Yourself. It's only audio. It's very strange.
Very nice.
now if you're talking to your friends, your parents, CBS.
Sorry, yeah, you're right.
Yep.
Following NCIS or Blue Bloods, it's
Well,
Go Flix Yourself.
Some of our parents are Fox, but
Oh, I'm Mario. over
That's
here.
a Mario. All
I'm
right.
Bert, whatever my last name was. Hey,
Jardiack.
Bart Jardiack. Signing off.
Thanks for listening, guys, and just enjoy movies.
Bye, everybody. Bye.
Nah, cheating, eh?